Episode 6, Season 4, Game of Thrones has aired. It is called The Laws of Gods and Men, and it is my favorite episode of this season so far. I completely adored this episode all the way through. Just the way it starts off, you finally get to see what Stannis is up to, because we're jumping around a lot this season, so not everybody's in every episode. And seeing him go over to Braavos and try and get some gold from Sherlock's brother, that was an interesting scene. They did a good job in that scene of portraying how much Davos really supports Stannis, with the whole hand thing. And now Stannis is being backed by that bank, so I mean, that could cause some problems. Oh, and Davos went to go get his old pirate friend. I'm not sure what he's gonna do, what part he's gonna play. But Stannis, he's slowly regaining the power that he really kind of had back in the end of Season 2. Because he had a large army and a lot of ships back then. Now he kind of got decimated, and now he's slowly building back up to being a really threatening power. And I can't wait to see that happen, because it's probably going to happen at some point, a big battle with him and his army. Going up north, we finally get to see what's going on with the Greyjoys, or Yara, his sister, coming to get Theon from the Dreadfort. And that was a good fight scene, because there was some fighting going on. It was close quarters, it was pretty intense. And it looks like Ramsay enjoys a little blood play there. I mean, he comes out with a bunch of cuts all over himself after having sex with his weird, insane friend, and he just flat out fights with no shirt on. He's insane. But the best part of this scene for me is how when Yara goes to get Theon or Reek, the acting by Alfie son of a bitch. Yeah, Alfie Allen, he does a great job at portraying how much he's broken as a person now. He just truly believes he's this Reek person, not Theon Greyjoy, and it's just so, it's sad to watch, because I remember hating Theon back in, like, Season 2, and at that point I still support my hate for him, but at this point, he's been tortured and broken down so much that it's sad to watch. And Ramsay kinda, gives him a bath, and he's not really doing that because he's nice to him. He's doing that to manipulate him so he will go and play Theon. That's gonna be a sight to see, him trying to go back to the Iron Islands. I think that's where he's going, to try and play himself now. The Boltons are gonna kill them. And back over to Essos, that scene with the dragons coming up from, I guess, the cliff, that was just, I don't know, I mean, that shot was in the trailer, but I didn't expect the dragon to just come up in front of that kid. And the dragon looked freaking huge compared to when we last saw it, at least, yeah. It's grown, and it was so cool, because we haven't seen the dragons in a few episodes, and just seeing that, I just sent chills down my spine. It's like, oh my god, it's so cool, and it just blows fire all over the field. These things are gonna be just monstrous once they're full-sized. But again, what really got to me was after they did that, they had Daenerys, and she gives that guy, the price of his goats that were killed, like, triple times over. But after that, the guy who came in there, this whole episode I thought was an acting showcase. Like, you had Alfie Allen and this scene with Daenerys or Emilia Clarke, and that whole scene was just so good, because you could see in her face that she kept going between, like, being a stern leader and feeling bad for this guy for what she did, because his father was not one of the slave type people. He spoke out against it. And that was just such a great scene, because, like, this is what she has to deal with now as a ruler. She has to deal with the fact that she might make mistakes, and she can't really change those things. And after that, when the guys are like, oh, there's 200 more going, she's like, oh, you could just tell that she's kind of out of her element in this situation. Not necessarily, like, out of her element, but she has a lot to learn and a lot to deal with. And maybe she kind of underestimated how many people she'd be getting trying to talk to her, and that was a great scene. And right before the trial of Tyrion, which was just so amazing, you get to see Mace Tyrell for the first time, and I just have one comment on him. He's a complete bitch. I mean, he goes along with everything Tywin does, and he's just sitting there. He's a pawn. And I don't like that. And going on to the trial of Tyrion, it was just such an intense scene, and it lasted like 20 minutes, so maybe sequence. It's a great sequence. Just, having everybody come in and talk about him, and you can see how they have everybody in King's Landing manipulated, and it's brutal because Tyrion wants to speak up and say the truth, and you do too as a viewer, but they're just all sitting there like, oh yeah, Tyrion did this, this, and this, and he stole my house, and he killed my goats, and he killed the gods. The whole scene was great, and when they took the break to have Jaime go try and talk some sense into Tywin, not even some sense, but just kind of try and get Tyrion to live. It's great because it shows Jaime is willing to do as much as possible to keep Tyrion alive because he knows that Tyrion is innocent. Back to the trial, I wasn't expecting Shae to show up per se, but as soon as they were like, oh, do we have any more witnesses? And Tyrion turns around and you see his face, I was like, oh no, she's coming in. Once again, an acting showcase, and Peter Dinklage did such a fantastic job in this episode. He deserves an Emmy for this episode alone. It was just, he did such a fantastic job of portraying all the emotions going through Tyrion's head at that time, like shock and horror and rage, and it was just amazing. And it was just amazing to watch. And you know what, I hate Shae because, you know, I can't really tell quite yet if she is under the manipulation of the Lannisters or she's just doing this to spite Tyrion. I'm not quite sure about that, but either way, she should have just gone where he said, and that would have been better, but you know what? I guess we'll find out about that soon, and Tyrion demanding a trial by combat, that worked out well for him last time, so I think it'll work out for him this time too. I'm interested to see though who he actually gets for his combat, because if he picks Jaime, I mean, Jaime is on his left hand now. He is not nearly as good as he used to be as a swordsman. So, I don't know. I mean, we'll see about that. So what'd you guys think of this episode of Game of Thrones? Did you enjoy it? Did you not enjoy it? What was your favorite acting performance in this episode, I guess? Mine was Peter Dinklage's. He was just fantastic. Read your beautiful comments down there and tell me what you think. And if you like this video, hit that subscribe button down there. Because if you don't, I'll get some dragons to fly up and fry your goats and we can have goat stew together.